The Canadian Black Watch has carried out a variety of duties through war and in peacetime. In the 1950s and 60s, a new identity became known for the Canadian soldier, a role as diplomat and keeper of the peace. This was nowhere more effective than in the island nation of Cyprus, where the Black Watch of Canada has twice served as intermediary between the warring Turkish and Greek factions. There, in the mountains of Kyrenia and the streets of Nicosia, some jobs of diplomacy were far removed from military routine.
Well, here in Cyprus, we have the only establishment which allows for an economics officer in the Canadian forces. And the job I have is basically to act as an intermediary or catalyst between Greek and Turkish Cypriots, so that those areas where they cannot agree upon, or those areas where no one is doing anything, we can try and improve the economy of Cyprus for the betterment of both Greek and Turkish Cypriots. Now, this ranges from everything from minor agricultural problems, for instance, a Turkish Cypriot cultivating land which belongs to a Greek Cypriot, and the Greek Cypriot can't go near it because it's located in Turkish-controlled area. We try and straighten matters out like that. Or it can range to anything as important as reactivating a whole industry or starting an industry where there, again, are both communities in Cyprus are involved. An officer in infantry, in the Black Watch especially, I suppose, is supposed to be flexible. Actually, although this isn't an army infantry job, it's almost a civilian job where you wear a uniform. It's the most interesting job I've had in my life, and adapting to it, as long as you have a little bit of common sense and diplomacy, it's, with your army background, it's quite easy to do. We've had just recently, one of our soldiers was killed. We are, while in Cyprus, on active duty. He was killed. He fell from one of the mountain outposts. It would seem, as things go now, he would be the last casualty we've had in active service. It seemed a little bit pathetically ironic to me that here we are in the Black Watch, and with all our McLeans and McLeods and McCullens, but this boy was just as Black Watch as any of us, but his name was Leroux, and he was a French-speaking Canadian. Doesn't really matter what happens to me militarily, it'll always be part of me, this Black Watch. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I think I joined the regiment rather blindly. I'm not much of a flag waver, but certainly the regiment means a great deal to me.
Well, of course, being Black Watch, we aren't perhaps all that happy. But there are good reasons for it, which I think we all understand, and we will, of course, be very loyal to the new regiment as we were with the Black Watch. I can't think of a better way to go out than perhaps working for peace in a UN role such as this, which is really operational, and where the man, I think, feels that he is doing a very viable and worthwhile job.
Well, I think you're speaking to rather an unusual case. I've been born and raised in the traditions of the Black Watch on both sides of my family. My father joined the 13th Battalion in the First War as a private soldier and came home as a company commander. So therefore, I'm the second McFarlane to command this battalion. He later went on to command a militia battalion just prior to the Second World War. And on my mother's side, my grandfather was a regimental commandant, as was my uncle. So I'm steeped in the Black Watch